Welcome to my course, Game Development Basics, Week 4, Lesson 7, Level Blueprint and Trigger Volumes. In this lesson, we'll describe common uses for the level blueprint, we'll explain the purpose of a trigger volume, and then we're going to demonstrate implementing a trigger to open our gate. Now in the last lesson, where we wrapped up, is that we have both of our puzzles working for House 1 and for House 2. And our gate already has an event dispatcher set up to unlock the gate, but we never completed this functionality. So in this lesson, we're going to implement unlocking the gate and then also opening the gate when the player gets within a certain range. And we'll use a trigger volume for this. And we're going to be using the level blueprint to handle all of this. Now, you could argue that you don't really need the level blueprint, that you could create another actor for this or do it through the game mode. But I just wanted to show some of the flexibility that the level blueprint allows. So the level blueprint allows you to fire off a sequence of actions in your level that are specific to that level. One benefit of the level blueprint is that it can reference any actor in the level without needing to cast to it or use getActorOfClass. And this could be very useful when you're controlling the flow of your level. Specifically in a game that may have complex puzzles that you want to control the flow of while the player is going through the level. And to get to the level blueprint, up here in the top left corner, there's a little drop down for blueprints. And from here, you can do different blueprint functions, but you can also open level blueprint. You remember that we already used this to create some sounds and to set night. We're also going to use this to open and close the gate. And to handle opening and closing the gate, what we want is to create a volume in front of the gate in that when the player gets within that volume, the gate will open for them, but only when unlocked. For this, we're going to use a trigger box. Now, a trigger can be used to activate events within a level blueprint. Remember, the level blueprint can access any actor in the level. And these trigger boxes can offer a lot of extra flexibility to your level without needing to add separate blueprints for each event. So in a level where there's a sequence of actions that's going to be happening, instead of creating a different blueprint for each of those events, you can have the level blueprint handle all of this, and you can use trigger boxes where necessary. So let's go over the steps for implementing a trigger volume into our level that will open the gate when it's unlocked. Hello, this is Jim from the future, and I wanted to briefly interrupt this video just to let you know that in this video I do make a few mistakes, and I do correct them by the end of the video, but there will be some times where I show how to do something and it's not the best way to do it. Now, I left them in the video to show you that sometimes I do make mistakes and it takes me a while to figure it out. And with the magic of video editing, I'm usually able to edit these out. But I wanted to leave them in to show you the process of how I go through and find my errors and correct them. So hopefully this isn't too disruptive, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. The first thing I want to do is to create my trigger volume in the level. So I'm going to drag it in, and we can even rename it Gate Trigger. And similar to our box brushes, we have some variables down here that we can use to scale the size of the trigger volume. And I think that's a good size for my trigger box. Now, with the gate trigger selected in my outliner, if I go back to my level blueprint, I can right click and you can see that up here at the top, we have create reference to gate trigger. Also, if I right click and say overlap, you'll notice that for event trigger box 1, we have an on add begin overlap. And we'll see that it says on actor begin overlap for our gate trigger. And this is available to us because we had our gate trigger selected in our level. Now back in our BP gate, we want to create a new custom event for opening the gate. And for this, we're just going to open the left and right gate. So let's create a timeline. And we're going to set world rotation for both of our gates. And we want to do a lerp, like with the doors. And our gates have different rotations. So for our left gate, we are starting at -180, and we want to rotate it -90 degrees. But for our right gate, we're starting at 0, and we want to rotate positive 90 degrees. So actually you need two different set world rotations to handle each gate. And we could just hard code these values into here. Next we need to create our timeline track. So we'll add a float track. And we'll make these gates open over the course of 2 seconds. So we have 2 points, one at 0, 0, and one at 2 and a value of 1. And we can drag this off to both of these. And now here in our trigger, we're going to cast to our BP gate and then call open gates. And real quick, I realized that I made a mistake. So the overlapped actor is the gate trigger, which in this case, we can't cast to gate. What we actually need to do is say get actor of class, and that's going to be our BP gate. And we'll use this to open the gates. And just to clear up another issue, we actually want to use set relative rotation for our gates. So here on our timeline, we're going to do set relative rotation of gate left and gate right. And our left gate will go from 180 to 90, and our right gate will go from 0 to 90. And we can see that by looking at the rotation of our gate. So our left gate is currently at 180 on the Z, and we want to rotate it to 90. And our right gate is currently at 0, and we want to rotate it to 90. So to test this out, we're looking at our gate, and we interact with the trigger box, and our gates both open. But we only want that to happen if the gates are unlocked. So here in our unlock gate, let's create a new variable, and we'll call it isGateLocked. And this will be a Boolean. So if our gate is locked, we want the true to set this to gate unlocked. And we want this to start as true because we want the gate to start as locked. And then here in our open gates, we'll create another branch. So when we call open gates, if the gate is locked, we want to do nothing, or we can do a print string and say gate is locked. But if the gate is unlocked, then we'll open the gate. And we can see that now when it's locked, it'll give us a notification saying that the gate is locked, which means the player cannot escape the level until they've unlocked the gate. So now at this point, our puzzles are complete. If the player solves the puzzle in house 1 and then in house 2, they should be able to escape the level, which means the player can now win the game. We also want to set up a lose condition though. So if the player doesn't complete the puzzles within a certain amount of time, they lose the game. And we'll handle this in the next lesson.